Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Tinnitist TV. Today, I want to introduce you to an artist who you might not know, but who definitely deserves a spot on your playlist. His name is Afton Wolfe, and he's a singer-songwriter out of Mississippi whose rumbling voice will remind you a little of Tom Waits, with dashes of Howlin' Wolf and Captain Beefheart in the mix for good measure. And his darkly beautiful songs are just as dynamic and distinctive, hitting that same sweet spot between soul, jazz, and blues as Van Morrison does. Basically, it's music tailor-made for late-night radio. And not coincidentally, Late-Night Radio is the title of his latest single, which he premiered with me a couple of weeks back. Since the video for the song just dropped, it seemed like a good time to get on Zoom with the Nashville-based Wolfe to chat about songwriting, where he got that voice, his teenage metal band, pretending to be a lawyer, and a whole lot more. As a bonus, he even tossed in an acoustic performance of Late Night Radio's B-side, So Purple. Enjoy. Oh, Afton Wolfe, thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hey, it's great to meet you too, Daryl. Thanks for having me.
Always, always. So I understand you've got a gig tonight.
I do. I was just warming up a little bit. Yeah.
I was going to say, I hope we're not cutting into your like 3-hour pre-show ritual of hot yoga and stretches and stuff.
It's so much sage to be burned and magic spells to be cast, but I've got it down to a nice, tight, efficient system. So yeah.
I expect it's lighting up a Marlboro and pouring a shot of Maker's Mark is what you've got it down to, basically.
There's certainly a Marlboro or two involved, but my rule is I don't take my first drink until I get on stage. Things can get pretty out of control if that happens. So yeah.
Oh, okay, that's probably a good rule.
I got to keep it clear until then. But yeah.
Well, but you could always go the Faces route too. They used to tour with a bartender on stage.
Yeah, well, those guys are pretty good.
I know, but what a show that must have been to watch Rod Stewart just get up and order a drink and sit down and sing a song.
I wonder if he, the good bartender, when he stirs the old fashions, they don't clink the glass. Maybe that's where that came from, is somebody messing up a Ronnie Wood solo or something. Yeah,
I have no idea. I imagine after the first 5 or 6 songs, they didn't give a shit anymore anyway.
That's how that's why you can get away with drinking cheap whiskey, right? After 2 or 3 of them, they all taste the same. So yeah.
Exactly. Hey, so I don't think I've ever met an Afton before. Is that just a family name, or where does it come from?
Yeah, it's a family name. The firstborn son of every generation of my family has it as a middle name for a long way up, and I use it as my as my moniker, kind of in tribute to my grandfather and father.
Cool. Have you passed it on yet?
Not yet. No,
right.
no immediate plans right now.
All right. Well, I'll leave that discussion to you and your parents.
Sure. Yeah, no, if and that might be the other reason to use it, just in case I'm the last one that has it.
All right. So
with some music.
So you just released this sort of single, really, the A-side, B-side, like the old days when people used to do that. Late Night Radio and So Purple, and the one is old and the one is newer, I'm guessing, at least.
Right.
Let's start with Late Night Radio, which is, as far as I understand, kind of an ancient artifact that you dug up out of the tomb.
Yeah, that's basically that was a part. That song was originally recorded as a part of what became Petronius' Last Meal, the first EP I put out in 2020. But along with songs like Carpenter and Paper Piano, about half of those old recordings were absconded somehow. I don't want to be too conspiratorial, but I think that there are some Mississippi politicians and some powerful Roman families that conspired to try to shut me down. But now we're re-recording them all piece by piece. And yeah, Late Night Radio was one that that vanished from the material sphere in the time I was on a little hiatus. So we got together with Brett Ryan Stewart at Wirebird and made an even better recording. So Nero and his estate can just chew on that. Yeah.
So was it all just sitting around up here, or did you not have like a copy of it at all anywhere?
I had no copies of it recorded, but I'd been playing it for a while. It's a fun song to play, and it's been a part of my repertoire since 2008 or so. I just couldn't find that recording, and I really like the song. It's got kind of a timeless melody to it when I found it that I've always really liked, and the structure of it, with it kind of being the same four chords over and over again, or the same pattern of the chord progression, but changed up really dynamically. I always liked the way that felt. So
yeah, no, and I think, even if you didn't know that it was an older song, I mean, the very fact that you're singing about late night radio pretty much gives it away. I mean, you might as well have written the note to Blockbuster, right?
Right, or Time and Temperature, or Facebook. Yeah, absolutely. Who knew radio was going to be so antiquated? Yeah.
No kidding.
I've tried to avoid writing songs about pagers or Facebook, but
it could be a whole concept album, lost technology,
right.
faxes, and
the phone booth sessions. Yeah.
There you go. Do you have a lot of these old orphan songs kind of floating around out in the ether?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, definitely. To me, songwriting is so much discovery, and so much of it is being close to a guitar or a pen or paper, and saving some bit of whatever it is that I found. And I've got songs that I've been trying to figure out how to finish since I was first started doing this 30 years ago, that are still sitting in a notebook. And I love that melody, and I love that that stanza, but just I haven't found the rest of it. It's like the ground around it's really hard to chip away and find the rest of it buried there. And some songs just don't make the cut of one record because they don't really fit with the feel of it, or the players that you have aren't really the kind of guys that you want recording this type of song, but they're great for another. So yeah, I mean, there's some songs that I've had forever, and I always get more excited about the more recent ones, and those tend to like step in line in front of some of the older ones sometimes. But yeah, so yeah, there's fragments of songs on little scraps of paper and in half empty notebooks and all over my house. So yeah,
it sounds like a songwriter.
And every once in a while I'll like throw them together and just okay, I'm going to put this one with this one, and we're just going to see what happens. Sometimes that works. Yeah.
Sure. An arranged marriage, you never know, man. Could happen. And
I mean, there's obviously a common vein between them all, and that's my twisted neural circuitry. But yeah.
And you mentioned making an even better version of it, and compliments on the arrangement and everything. I love the horn lines in this. It's very Van Morrison Astral Weeks, kind of hypnotic and circular and lulling and soothing.
I'm very blessed to get to work with a lot of great musicians, and Seth Fox was certainly important on this recording. He helped me arrange the saxophones, which I think give it, like you say, a really kind of
it's kind of midway between Van and maybe John Coltrane Love Supreme-ish,
that's beautiful. Yeah, and he'll be thrilled to hear your compliments there. But it has a really lush texture with it added like that, because I think you take it away and it's a sweet song about leaving somebody behind, a little sadness, but stripped down, it's got kind of an emo kind of feel to it. And with the musicians and the arrangement and the production that we were able to pull off, I think it takes it to kind of a little spacier and more ethereal kind of level that is really nice, the way it worked out.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. And So Purple is also great. I mean, also kind of nostalgic musically, with that kind of a electric piano and flute thing going on. You got kind of a 60s, I don't know, Philadelphia, maybe feel to it. But then lyrically, it's obviously really of the moment.
Yeah, well, Seth and I wrote that one together as well. We were kind of on a little nature discovery adventure that I won't, divulge too many details for Fifth Amendment purposes on. But we started, that hook kind of came out around the campfire, and I was thinking about it. There's lyrically, red and blue are often represent opposite things. Like obviously the easiest and most superficial example are these political fictions that we all kind of have to listen to the talking heads yammer about. But there's also like I'm kind of an amateur astronomer and physicist, and there's red shift and blue shift, like when stars are moving away or coming towards, and then hot or cold, things like that. So the kind of the theme was, or the idea was, beneath all of these surface fictions and symbolic things, we're all the same thing underneath. We're all a part of this Tao, this energy, things like that. So that's what the purple is about. And yeah, that's kind of
Look at you working
lyrics
on
really
levels.
flowed really fast like that. Yeah.
You're just an old
or like my wife says, it sounds like a really, really sweet kind of love song about, some people trying to put it together, which, I always say my job of interpreting the songs is usually done as soon as I lift the pen from the paper. After that, it's up to whoever hears it to interpret them, and I enjoy that more. So
yeah, but that's the trick too, is making it something that people can hear their own way, as opposed to being really A, B, C, D and spelling it out and hammering them over the head with it.
But yeah, I mean, it's the difference between art and craft, I think, in my opinion. Norm Macdonald said that like stand-up comedy was a craft because everybody's trying to get, all the comedians are trying to elicit the same reaction with what they create.
Right.
And I think that that's admirable. That there are a lot of craftspeople in songwriting, and they're some of my heroes. I personally, when I write or when I'm creating, I would like to leave it somewhat associative so that the listener can, fill in the blanks with their own experiences. And, I really find it fascinating and even complimentary when people are trying to ask me or even come to me telling me that they, assume that they know what the song's about. And they're like, this is about this and this and this. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. You are absolutely right. I mean,
it is about your dog.
Sometimes it's just crazy stuff, but it's like, yep, you nailed it. That song is about that weird dream you had about taking your
Peyton
dog
Manning.
to the school bus. That's exactly what that's about. Yeah.
Exactly. So you mentioned some of your favorites. Who would some of those favorite songwriters be? I think I can fill in a couple of blanks, but
sure. Lyrically, my favorite songwriters lyrically are kind of irreverent and abstract. I'm a big Michael Stipe, Beck, Stephen Malkmus. Obviously, the Tom Waits and the Elvis Costello and the Leonard Cohen are top of my lists. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on. There's so many, Fiona Apple, Bjork, Evan Dando, John Lennon, Van Morrison, like you said. I mean, I've got a lot of heroes, but lyrically, I've really always been drawn to like the way that guys like Michael Stipe and Beck kind of use words, whether they mean something or not, just because of the sounds that they make within the songs and the melody that, certain syllables and certain consonant conjunctions make. So, yeah. And musically, I think my songwriting is as influenced by Robert Johnson as it is Chris Cornell, and it's Jimmy Rogers as much as, like I say, Evan Dando or, some of that 90s stuff. Like I've got a lot of Mississippi and 90s grunge fighting it out in my hands all the time, which don't always go together, but, and then obviously I'm a huge fan of Tom Waits, and everything that he's done has been important to me musically as well.
Yes. Well, I imagine a lot of people keep asking you would keep requesting covers of Tom Waits from you when they see you.
I do a really good version of a few of his songs, and my buddies in Cordova is always, they'll have these parties where they invite a bunch of friends to come and they cover stuff, and like my friend Tyler always covers Talking Heads, and My buddy King Corduroy always covers Grateful Dead, and I always do a Tom Waits song with him. So
what's your
and then
go-to?
every year here in Nashville, we do the tribute show, and I have wedged myself in as an institution at that event.
What's your Tom Waits go-to?
Ooh, I've actually, ever since my old band Dollar Book Floyd, I've tried really hard not to do the same ones, if possible, because he's got so many amazing songs.
Sure.
But when Joe and the guys in Cordova's invite me up, it's always one of three. They always want me to do Old 55 or Come On Up to the House or Hold On, which are all just beautiful, brilliant songs. So and to have those musicians backing them up, I'll do whatever they ask me to, for sure. So
Well, let me know when you cover Filipino Box Spring Hog, and I'll get in on that
was one that I used to cover at the end of shows. It was more of like we were trying to run people off, like when the bartender wanted the show to be over and wanted everybody to leave. But I'd say, I got this. I'd go behind the drum set and just start. So
well, I'm sure Mr. Waits would see that as a real compliment.
Look, I mean, if he doesn't know that his music's occasionally used to end parties, then I don't know what, it's hard to imagine why why he would have made the Black Rider than any other reasons. It's
true.
The flip side of some of that Waits, crowd dispersers is effective.
No kidding. And kill squirrels in your attic if need be. The flip side of that of the Waits coin for me is Captain Beefheart and Howlin' Wolf in there too, which I could also hear you doing some pretty fine Beefheart.
Oh, I love Captain Beefheart. Trout Mask Replica was something. When I first found Tom, I found Rain Dogs, and then somebody said you need to listen to this, and gave me Trout Mask Replica. And honestly, when I first heard it, it was a bridge too far. Sure. I had to kind of grow up a little bit more. And I think actually what finally got me to really appreciating Beefheart was Zappa. It was after Rain Dogs, tried and failed at Beefheart, but then really got into the Mothers, and then it was like, I can go back on this Beefheart guy.
Billy the Pimp and Bongo Fury and all that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you have Clear Spot?
I do not know.
Get Clear Spot.
Okay.
And seriously, cover any song on Clear Spot, because they're all great. Produced by Ted Templeman. It's like it's really kind of the best one to sort of, for people who go, oh, what's this Captain Beefheart guy about? I don't go, here, start with Trout Mask. I go, start with Clear Spot, because it's like in 4/4 and it's in
right. Well, yeah, no, and I've heard some various recordings where you'd think they were just a regular band for a couple of seconds here and there.
Yeah, no, this one sounds more like it's still Beefheart, but it's listable Beefheart. You could get it on the radio,
Right.
We mentioned Faces before. You also recently did a cover of Ooh La La with Blue Mountain's Carrie Hudson. How did that all come together?
What a treat. Well, Carrie lives. I mean, Carrie's a citizen of the spirit world, but in the material world, he takes up a lot of residence in Mississippi, where I'm from, and we've crossed paths many times, and he's always been a hero of mine. I used to sneak into Blue Mountain shows when I was a kid, and I've been lucky that he's been a friend, and I've been able to call on him and hang out with him. And one time I was down in Hattiesburg and visiting family and friends, and I swung by, because anytime I see that he's playing, I want to go by and catch it, because it's just an underappreciated light for sure. But when I went by and saw him at this place, he did a version of that, and first of all, it's one of the greatest songs ever. It's so beautiful, and it's pure simplicity, and it's absolutely timeless message. But I saw him doing that, and I said, wow, that's just the way he does it at kind of about 80% the tempo, and just with his kind of windblown, chill attitude and just coolness. I was like, I would love for us to do that together. It's kind of a duet. And he said, okay, well, book me a gig in Nashville, and I'll come up there and we'll do it. So that was like the next 10 text messages I was on was like, Carrie and I are playing this night, or this night. Tell me which one. And then I booked the studio time. And, and then when it started going, I got in touch with my friend, Anana Kay, who is a brilliant musician and artist in her own right. She did the duet album with David Olney, but they also, her and her husband, Rockley, make amazing videos. They made my video for Paper Piano and my video for Late-Nite Radio that comes out next week. We're doing a little private screening at the release show tonight, but it comes out next week. So they make great videos, and I just had her come over and basically record the recording session. And it was just like the video turned into a 5-minute smile of just a bunch of beautiful people hanging out, playing a beautiful song. So I'm really, really glad we got that. And it happened that Carrie's daughter, Anna, who's a force of nature and great singer in her own right, she happened to have jumped on tour with him to play a few shows for whatever reason, and she ends up singing on the song and in the video, which with the whole theme of the song just worked out, exactly how it's supposed to, beautifully.
So has your voice always sounded like that? Were you like a 15-year-old kid singing in garage bands and that voice came out?
Well, that's kind of how I got introduced to Tom Waits. Was I was in a metal band when I was like 17, 18 years old. And, I always kind of had like a deeper voice for like the kids in the school and stuff. Like I was the only person that they would give the bass parts to in choir, and then smoking looks cool, and I started doing that too early. Then I was screaming in metal bands, and then I was in a band where we were kind of playing some more like straightforward rock stuff, and I would press it a little bit, and that growl would come out. And I've always loved singers like that. I dressed up as Bruce Springsteen when I was 6 years old for Halloween. I love Louis Armstrong, Greg Allman, Joe Cocker, all those guys. I love that growl, that force. But we were playing a song, and one guy said, that's how he was like, "Oh, you must be a big Tom Waits fan." I was like, "Who is Tom Waits?" I was like, "Is that the guy that sings I Ain't Missing You at All?" No, it's John Waits. No.
Yeah, very different guy.
But no, and that guy was the guy that gave me Rain Dogs. And, the next 5-6 years of my life were basically pivoted off of that one album. Like everything I tried to discover seemed to be inspired by that. I found more Rolling Stones because of Rain Dogs than my folks record collection. I was like, this guy's awesome. Is this Mark Ribot? No, that's Keith Richards. Oh, so there's more Stones that I need to hear, that kind of thing. So
sure. And what was the name of your teenage metal band?
It's called Root. Well, we had a few of them. The one that I was doing the most screaming in was called Bill's Third Wheel. And, it was named after
very metal.
Well, yeah, it was no, it wasn't metal like the indescribable or illegible names made out of spider webs on that. It was, this was late 90s, early 2000s, so it was a lot more akin to like late stage grunge, Alice in Chains type stuff. There's a lot of blues, and I have to confess there's a little bit of rapping that happened then, but luckily it was before things went viral and everybody was carrying phones. So yeah, so there's not a lot of video
skirted by that one, huh?
Doing Rage Against the Machine covers. Yeah,
dodged a bullet there. And are there pictures of you dressed up as Bruce Springsteen for Halloween at age 6? Because I think everybody needs to see those.
I think there are some under my mom's bed in Petal, Mississippi. But yeah, we're gonna keep those preserved until there's some type of auction.
That's your next single cover. Come on, man. That's
shoe polish on my face and everything. Yeah,
ready made right there. Did you do the turnaround shot with the hanky in the back pocket?
I definitely had the hanky. It was the Born in the USA cover was the costume. But yeah, I know there is some photographic evidence out there despite my best efforts, but I'm gonna stay vigilant there, Daryl. I'm sorry.
Get Nero on that one. You can make that vanish. So
whoever's trying to find student loans can see if they can hunt that down. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. So what have you been writing about lately? What's got you inspired? What are what's coming out of the pipe?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of songs that I'm going to do kind of a, Late Night Radio and So Purple's kind of act one of 3 releases that at the beginning of 2023, I'm going to put them all together into either a big EP or a smaller kind of full length. So there's going to be another release in September, and that's actually going to have a couple of songs that I didn't write by some lesser known songwriters that I'm huge fans of that I'd like to record. And then the culmination of it, one of the more recent songs that I've completely written. I've been writing a lot, but only probably finished 2 or 3 things out of the 95 that I've started. But one of the ones that's, it's a song about, it's a song about loss and a song about, kind of the difficulties that we all inevitably have to go through with losing people. And, that's every time there's one of these mindless tragedies, like there've been a couple in the last last couple of weeks, whatever the timeline is, it's dizzying. But it applies to that kind of thing too. And the song's called Cry, and it's just about how, sometimes when these things are squeezing so hard, that's the only thing you can do. But that'll be coming out in 2023, and that'll be kind of act 3 of what Late Night Radio and So Purple are the beginning of. So
50. Is it? It's a nice change, I guess, to work this way as opposed to having to put all the pressure into crafting a full album of songs that go together and a flow and this and that and all the logistics.
I'm an album guy. I didn't grow up on singles. I grew up on albums, cassette tapes at the most modern. I still couldn't skip tracks, so I had to ingest what the artist gave me, and I'm grateful for that, because I probably wouldn't have listened to a lot of the songs on a lot of the albums that became my favorites. I wouldn't have if I'd had the shuffle button or the playlist fed to me. I probably wouldn't have done that as much, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, it's a changing landscape, and artists are more free to be independent now. It's easier to record the music, it's easier to distribute it digitally, but that also changes the demand curve and the settings for things like full-length physicals and for long recording sessions. And the appetite for an independent artist and the environment for an independent artist to wait 2 years to get everything together to release an album the right way and put all the money into it, you have to be putting stuff out at a little bit more of a normal pace to keep people's attention. The rule of 7s is now the rule of 77,000s. Like it's just you got to keep showing up. But it's also nice on a selfish way, because when I do record, every time I get done with a song in the studio, like that's the most painful thing, is knowing that I don't get to blare it out at everybody for another year and a half. And doing it this way, at least it's just you cut that long timeline down by a good bit. And it's economics, right? It's just it's easier to record and put out 2 songs than it is to record and put out 9, 10, 11 songs. So, and with this way, I kind of get to put this project, which is tentatively going to be called the Legal Fees Sessions, when it comes out in January 23. But I get to put it out basically 3 times, over the course of a year, which is, there's pluses and minuses to it, trying to go with the flow. But no, once I got my hooks dug in a little deeper, then we'll go into the studio for 3 years and we'll do one of those, Neil Young records where you just run out of money. But that ain't the life we're living right now. So
you can do an Axl Rose or a Weezer, sit there and bounce the rubber ball off the wall for 2 months.
No, that's when I put out Petronius Last Meal, and I was talking to my friends and stuff. I remember one of my friends who's like, "When did you record these?" And I said, "Oh, 2008." He said, "What are you, Axl Rose? Is you Chinese democracy?" It's literally just been gathering dust. I haven't been firing members of 80s rock bands for 10 years, but yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly. But it's nice though, because again, you can, as you said, you can have new stuff coming up, and it doesn't have to have all that gap. And in a way, it's almost a throwback to, in the '60s, it was every band had
got
a
them 2
single
songs at a time. Got them 2 songs at a time, and that's why. Ooh La La worked well as a single because it was me and Carrie, just as kind of a one-off. I wanted to do that video, I wanted to do that song with Carrie. We didn't, we didn't try to, plaster the world or anything, but we made that effort and we made something really special, and I'm happy about it. But honestly, like, to do a single just as a one-off just seems that's a bridge too far for me too. It's like, I'm an album guy, and just doing one song feels a little like that's a little too close to the TikTok for me. So at least with two songs, it feels like, call it a digital 45. I'm trying to trademark the term ECA single because that's a little bit more my my time frame. That's where I found so much of my music was in the singles shelf at Camelot, because I couldn't afford to, $11 on a whole record was a little too risky for me with, in 7th grade with that lawn mowing money. But I'd grab 2 or 3 singles, and that's how I got songs. And usually the B-sides were my favorites. So I like those a lot.
Now I'm waiting to see what you're going to do on TikTok, though. I think it's the medium for you, sir.
Well, I'm resisting. I'm hanging on tooth and nail from the event horizon of TikTok. But
yeah, good idea. You don't want to get sucked into that black hole.
Just I feel like at least for now, I can connect with the people that I'm trying to connect with relatively effectively without doing that. The only reason I do this music stuff is to try to connect with people. And if I really thought that I could make meaningful connections in a way on something like that, then it might be worth considering. And I'm not ruling it out, but I don't have a TikTok. Don't your fans can save their time searching for my TikTok channel. It does not exist.
Good to know. And then why the legal fees sessions?
Well, yeah, that's I helped a friend out and who was in kind of a bit of a dispute. So this is just kind of that's kind of where these recording sessions that Ooh La La, Late Night Radio, So Purple, and then presumably the next few the next 2 acts of that project, they're all kind of coming out of a bartering thing where I did some. I pretended to be a powerful attorney who would sell the soul to the devil to accomplish some goals. So yeah, but I'm the only attorney good enough to sue and win my soul back. So yeah.
All right, you're hedging pretty close to that Fifth Amendment wall there again, I think.
Exactly. Well, that's the kind of lawyer you want, right? The one that can go right up to it.
True. You want the fixer. That's right. So I see you've got that guitar in your hands. Is that just a prop, or did you want to do something with that?
Oh, if you want me to play a song, I'll be happy to play a song. I was just warming up and I was going to check the camera, but yeah, I'd be happy to play a song if you want one.
Sure, go for something.
We can do a little maybe kind of play So Purple in the way that it was first found, because it definitely went through some changes. It is incredibly produced and wonderfully performed, but it was found like most of my songs were found on a guitar. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Would that be okay with you, Daryl?
That'd be great. Go for it.
Sure thing, man. Red and blue, just simple combination, but a different radiation from me and you. When you strip away the ego, through the forest we go, dancing like kids in the rain, seeing through the pleasure and pain, to the truth that's always been. You and I could be so purple. You and I could be so purple. Pulling away, just shift from where you're standing, but you've seen that there's demanding from you every day. I'm coming and I'm going like the river that keeps flowing out in the ocean to dissipate, up in the sky to precipitate. Then we start all over again. You and I could be so purple. You and I could be so purple. You and me on a circle, not a river. Got no need to be forgiven for it, can't you see? That's all just an illusion and it's causing this confusion. Just holding on to a lie, thinking it helps us to get by when we let go and get it right. You and I could be so purple. You and I would be so purple.
Wow, beautiful.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
That's got kind of a
number.
blues thing to it. Yeah.
Yeah, you should need to put that on a B-side somewhere sometime.
Yeah. Maybe. Actually, that one's got a couple of little prospects that I can't even. I probably shouldn't even tease, but when they come to fruition, I'll make sure you're one of the first to know.
All right.
Because there's some possible collaborations and maybe even remixes of that recording that are in the works by some pretty awesome people, but I don't want to put them on the spot. So
Don't jinx it.
yeah, exactly. That's probably more important than putting them on the spot.
Exactly. Well, listen, man, I think that's a perfect place to leave it with a great song. And besides, you've got sage to burn, you've got incantations to deliver.
True, holy words to vibrate for sure.
Exactly. So listen, thanks for your time today. Thanks for the music. And I'm sure we'll be talking again sometime down the road.
Hey, thanks very much for having me, Daryl.